this, and then I'm going to do this. We're going to get a little bit different camera going here. But anyway, so not long ago in this galaxy, who remembers Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast? Released today, March 26, 2002. Man, 26 years ago. Or not 26 years ago. I did my math backwards. 23 years ago. It's been a long day. 23 years ago, March 26, 2002, LucasArts released Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast for the PC as well as for GameCube and Xbox. I did get it for the PC because I was a PC gamer at that time. Kind of. I was winding down in my gaming days at that time. But yeah, got the Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. Never finished it, honestly. But you know what? I have it again. I have it again on Xbox. It was cheap. Bought it. It's been fun to play. So played a little bit of it today, revisiting that. Raven Software was the developer. They shut that down and it released the source code, but then pulled it, but then allowed it for a lot of the other Jedi Knight Dark Force series because it was kind of in that fold. Later on in 2019, so 17 years later, it was still popular enough or well known enough where it was released on the Switch, which would make sense because GameCube had it and that was no longer available, no longer Nintendo's game of console of choice. So, I mean, they had the Wii in there, but, getting back to the Switch and that controller format, re-releasing Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast for the Switch, as well as finally getting over to the PlayStation console with PlayStation 4. Dark Forces, again, was the beginning of this series. This was part of the Dark Forces series. The Dark Forces Jedi Knight series, which it then became known as the Jedi Knight series as Dark Forces 2 came out. And then once it went past that, it was known as the Jedi Knight series. This Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast, even though it was Jedi Knight 2, because it was Dark Forces Jedi Knight, even though this was Jedi Knight 2, it actually had a little prequel to this one because Dark Forces Jedi Knight actually had a expansion game set that came out, which was Mysteries of the Sith. So this followed Mysteries of the Sith. It did incorporate that as in its canon, and then after this one, it preceded Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, which was the third in the trilogy, if you want to call it, as far as the Jedi Knight trilogy, including the first one with Mysteries of the Sith as being an expansion. So yeah. Great following the Kyle Katarn, basically, storyline. A couple other voices that are known kind of made some appearances, which is pretty interesting. Some of these I kind of came across and I was like, wow, look at that. I didn't realize that they were in earlier Star Wars works. But Billy D. Williams actually reprises his Lando Calrissian voice in Jedi Outcast because you do visit Bespin in this game. And another interesting voice that showed up in this was that of Vanessa Marshall, who we know as Hera, our fun-loving rebel pilot of the Ghost, the original Hera, Vanessa Marshall. She actually voiced another great pilot and kind of sidekick of Kyle Katarn, and that would be Jan Ors. Was one of the main side characters in the series of the Dark Forces Jedi Knight series. So Vanessa Marshall did not realize that was her voice. And then another alum from Rebels also voiced one of the characters, and that was that of Steve Bloom. He was credited in the game as being Stephen J. Bloom in the series, but our voice of Zeb did actually appear as a voice in Jedi Knight to Jedi Outcast. And then also a very famous voice, that of Tom Kane, who did the opening narration of the Clone Wars animated series, kind of the recaps of what was going on throughout the galaxy, as well as voicing Yoda in the Clone Wars. Tom Kane did multiple roles in the gameplay of Jedi Outcast as well. So a lot of Star Wars alum voice actors within this gaming within this game. So yeah, if you've never played the Jedi Knight Outcast, I mean, obviously a lot of these games are not the greatest quality of games, but still fun to play. It's a great storyline, Dark Forces all the way up to Jedi Academy. Great fun to play these games and go back and see, what might show up, because some of these storylines, some do actually show up. Some of these different sites, planets, all these things sometimes make their way into canon again. One of the main things that probably, if you're going to tie anything to Andor with Star Wars Jedi Knight or Dark Forces, what have you, Kyle Katarn's blaster, Cassian Andor, that is his blaster. So it was fun to be able to see that when that first showed up in the series. Seeing that blaster again really took me back to the Dark Forces days and the Jedi Knight series, which was a lot of fun to be able to have that. A first-person shooter, if you're into that thing, it's a great game to pick up, as well as a great series. I would recommend, if you've never played any of the series, to start with Dark Forces. Go back, play that one, play all the way through. You can kind of skip Mysteries of the Sith if you so choose to. That was, again, expansion pack to Jedi Knight, Dark Forces. But I would definitely play the other ones as well. They're a lot of fun, great stories. And yeah, it's just good Star Wars fun. So going back and playing those games. So that is your Not Long Ago in This Galaxy for today. Again, March 26, 2002, LucasArts releases Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast for the PC, as well as GameCube and Xbox. So catch me doing that every day. I kind of slacked off a little bit this weekend. Just got a little bit busy and behind on some things, and also kind of couldn't verify some of the dates, but a lot of Alec Baldwin, a lot of Alec Guinness. Good Lord, what's wrong with me? A lot of Alec Guinness history within the past couple days, with him arriving on set in Tunisia, the announcement of him in Star Wars, just a lot of that throughout the past couple days. The rainstorm in Tunisia, just a lot of the filming kind of getting going for A New Hope, and history with that through the past couple days. But yeah, I didn't go live and do any of that. A little bit crazy with my schedule right now. It'll probably get that way as we keep getting closer and closer to Japan. But that's okay. That's okay. But anyway, that is your Not Long Ago in This Galaxy. Let's talk about the other fun things going on. One of which is Andor season 2. So we've been doing a lot of Andor revisiting. I've been watching Andor season 1, and I just kind of want to throw some more Star Wars in there. I was watching some Lego Star Wars All Stars, the Oda Chronicles. So kind of want to throw something else on here. Let's do these All Star shorts. How about that? Anyway, yeah, Andor Revisited. Kind of been going through watching these. The story arcs of Andor have been. It's interesting because this season 2, Tony Gilroy really kind of explained it very well, of how he filmed it, very blatantly having these story arcs separated, one per week. So getting 3 episodes a week for 4 weeks, we're really going to see each story arc, because it is over 4 years period. So kind of have to do that this time and really kind of almost show it as a mini movie every week. Whereas season 1, everything was, episodes were released once a week per se, with a exceptions to that. And but there were story arcs, and some of them were 3 episodes, some of them were 2 episodes. The final part, like the fourth arc, because season 1 kind of had 4 story arcs, but the fourth arc really was the last 2 episodes, and these were this was the small acts of the rebellion, the beginnings of the rebellion, really kind of seeing how it began, how it kind of sparked. We had Star Wars Rebels, the first episode, Spark of the Rebellion. It's almost kind of the same thing. What ignited that spark? And those last 2 episodes really pushed that home, drove that home. Even though I watched today, I watched the announcement, or an announcement, and some of my favorite scenes are in that one, which I'll talk about later. But again, that Aldani heist really was a big part of this rebellion getting sparked, and people kind of just committing to the rebellion, and bringing everybody together, having pockets of all this rebellion all around, and everybody. This was the time where everybody was going to have to really kind of join forces and be that rebel alliance. So even though there was a rebellion up until this point, we're starting to see the rebel alliance be the birth of, with this last drive home, with these last 2 episodes of season 1 of Andor. I loved how, and if you didn't watch the season 1 recap with Tony Gilroy, it was a lot of fun to talk about this episode, which was the episode of Daughter of Ferrix, which was so much fun. Of course, this is after the Narkina story arc with Andor, Cassian being imprisoned by the Empire. He met a good friend, Melshi, which was awesome. Ruskat Melshi, who played by Duncan Powell, who actually was in the live stream of Andor season 1 Revisited with Tony Gilroy, and it was really cool to hear him talk about his character. You got a lot of why was Melshi in Narkina 5, which was funny because there really wasn't a backstory for that. Even Tony Gilroy didn't really give an answer to that. He let Duncan kind of give that answer, and it was a good answer. Just that the fact that Melshi is not a rule. He's not someone that's going to follow the rules. If you tell him to do something, he doesn't want to be told to do something, which you can kind of really see that's how Duncan portrayed the character. And yeah, that whatever it was that put him in there really set him off. But he believes in this cause after this whole Narkina 5 breakout, and joining forces with Cassian, kind of almost I think really helping him to bridge that gap of becoming part of the rebellion himself. So but I love the beginning of Daughters of Ferrix, where we have this episode where they're still in Narkina 5. They just escaped the prison. We see them climbing the walls in the beginning, and now they're trying to figure out how to get off the planet. And they're desperate, and it's a really funny beginning to this final part of the story, which almost kind of throws you aback, because you don't think it's going in the direction you think it's going to go. And just having them kind of take off, it's very hesitant, but then determined, because they're like, this has got to be it. We got to do it. And it's so funny to see them, run across. And they talked about this clip when they were running across, and when they got caught in the nets, and they actually were both hurt at the time. They had both pulled muscles and had issues with their legs and running. And even though they looked like they were actually running really fast, they were hurting in pain. And it was intense and funny all at the same time. And then when those nets hit them, it just was a hilarious opening. But then come to find out, these fishermen that were there, these two brothers, these alien brothers, were they didn't like the Empire either, so they kind of let them. They helped him out with a ride. So pretty cool little funny opening to the story for episode 11 of Andor season 1, which was really awesome. One of the last two episodes ended up getting really intense with some of the scenes, and I loved how Andor really did this well with intensity in scenes and really getting emotional with the characters. And we get character emotions all the time, but when you almost feel a droid getting emotional, um, that's something that's just genius to be able to see or hear a scene from the droid's perspective, which we don't really get to see a lot, um, and really feel emotion with it. That's just almost unheard of in Star Wars. And this one scene when Marva finally passed away in Daughters of Ferrix, um, the way that they shot this scene was just brilliant. And B2 EMO B2 just love this droid, by the way, and I'm a droid lover, so it's so great to see this scene, and it was done so well. Just kind of seeing B2MO kind of ignoring the situation, staring off outside. You'd wonder that he's just thinking about Cassian at this time. Where is Cassian? And inside of Marva's home, um, he's in a daze, and you don't really think a droid could be in daze because a droid is programmed to not, that's an emotional like state, or a human state, and you wouldn't think a droid could, but it really is. And you can almost see him trembling in the scene, just not knowing what's going to happen. And you hear in the background the voices with Brasso and just discussing that Marva is gone, and it's he doesn't even want to acknowledge it, which is just, it's such an emotional scene for a droid, which is pretty amazing. And you feel the anxiety, you feel the panic almost of B2, and then Brasso comforting him is just it's a great scene. I love it. It just connects droid and human together, which is something you don't see often. You do see it in Solo a little bit with Donovan Glover with L3, when L3 gets gunned down on Kessel, but not it. That's almost very, I don't know. It didn't have the intensity, the emotional intensity, as the scene did. So Tony Gilroy just doing a marvelous job in with this scene, and I love this scene. It is one of my favorites, honestly, of the entire series. Just bringing the intense level to just something so simple as with a droid, which is just outstanding. Another fantastic I mean, this is kind of throughout, and I, again, the series, the episode that I watched today, announcement, was the first time that we saw Vel Sartha in her Chandrila look, because we did find out that she was the sister of Mon Mothma, which was kind of a surprise little twist, pretty amazing, because different last names. Who knows whose name is real. I mean, I guess Mon Mothma. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how Chandrila culture is. Maybe maybe Mothma. Well, she is married, so I don't know. Anyway, I guess it was Monsartha, right? That was her maiden name. I don't know. But after the Aldani heist, Vel returns to her roots. Um, she visits Mon Mothma. That's right. It's her cousin. It's her cousin, not her sister. Um, in Daughters of Ferrix. So in an announcement, she visits. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. I cannot figure out how to turn this thing off from shutting down every night. I have no idea how to do it. Anyway, let's go ahead and turn this back on. She finally meets up with Mon Mothma, her cousin, and confronts her about some of the things that she's doing to help the rebellion. And it's just Tony Gilroy talked about the dynamics of war on families, and Mon Mothma is definitely, as far as that subject theming for the Star Wars galaxy, Mon Mothma's story has my interest the most. Because in season 2, you know that when we meet her in Rogue One, she's given up everything and sacrificed everything. And I have this feeling that Andor season 2 is going to end much like Rogue One, where almost everybody that we've met that we don't see post Andor season 2 is going to die. Kind of like Rogue One. You know, you knew all these people were there. You knew they stole the Death Star plans, but you never saw them after in A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. So you knew that they were dead, and that's what happened in Rogue One. Everybody died. I have a feeling that that's going to be the same thing that happens in Andor season 2. We're going to get a lot of family deaths from Mon Mothma, which is probably going to explain why she is the way she is going forward. So really cool scenes between them two in Daughters of Ferrix as well. One of the cooler scenes was this scene here with when Luthen Rael is headed back to basically Ferrix, to the culmination of everything. Everybody goes back basically to Ferrix in the end for this final episode, Rick's Road. But in the latter part of Daughter of Ferrix, Luthen is heading home, and he has to evade the Empire in his Fondor Hallcraft, which is an amazing scene because you get to see what his Hallcraft does, which is awesome. Those lasers that come out the side, and then his jammer, spikes that kind of like really destroy the dish and explode. It's a really cool scene with a ship that's definitely modified in a different way than anybody would think. Cassian kind of brought that to light when he first got on the Hallcraft, when he met Luthen in the earlier episodes, saying that he had never seen a Hallcraft built like that before, and there was many secrets in that one. It was a really cool shuttle modified to do what he needed to do. Have his own dressing room and be able to evade capture and I'm sure slip past many different blockades as he's traveling through the galaxy with different identities, building this rebellion throughout the galaxy, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, really cool, amazing, fun scene that one was. As we kind of get into Rick's Road, the final episode, the ISB showing up, kind of laying their groundwork for this funeral for Marva. Really cool shot of their plans, kind of like detailing this with ISB supervisor Deidre Miro. Alongside her peers there, really kind of laying out what's going to happen on Rick's Road from this vantage point, kind of building the Empire's thinking that they're in control, but as we find out, they're not, and everything kind of goes haywire in the end of that episode. So we have Brasso meeting up with Andor in Rick's Road, kind of that really amazing heart to heart talk that him kind of giving last words that what Marva may have said to Cassian if he was able to see her before she passed away. Joplin Sibtain, who played Brasso, just does an amazing job, and I can't wait to see him again in Andor season 2. And again, I don't have good thoughts of what is going to happen to him, but such is what kind of carries Cassian on to where he is in Rogue One. So, but he does deliver a very heartfelt message from Marva to her adoptive son Cassian in Rick's Road. The funeral of Marva is definitely one of the most iconic Star Wars moments of all time. That's a definite, especially with the hologram eulogy that Marva gives and delivers herself via that hologram projected all over the funeral attendees, basically solidifying her wish to join a rebellion against the Empire, becoming very clear within that eulogy. And her speech is just it's brilliant. It talks of history, community, the life that they've built on Ferrix together, and really is the backbone of inspiring them, that gathered crowd to revolt against Imperial occupying forces, and you can kind of see it stirring up before it even really happens, with the Empire knowing that it's happening to try to shut that message down. And then it just all goes to heck when she cries to fight the Empire, and that's when just everything happens, and that culmination right there, right then and there, which is amazing. But yeah, those words that Brasso gave to Cassian, I think that kind of is when his point of what he's going to do from that point forward kind of changes. That he's going to seek out Luthen and decide to join the rebellion, to join the fight, with that message that was left for him. So that's when he changes his mind, I think, and that's when he seeks out Luthen again, makes that choice that will alter his course in life, and decides to join forces with the rebellion. So pretty awesome transformation from Cassian Andor from the beginning of Andor season 1 to 2, and it's not really fully completed yet as far as how we see him in Rogue One, and I think a lot of the death that we are probably going to see happen in season 2 is where we're going to get him being a little bit more cold-blooded, the way we see him in Rogue One. So we'll have that chance to see that not too far away. But again, Andor season 1, you can watch the first 3 episodes on YouTube. You can also watch the Andor season 1 recap with Tony Gilroy. The Disney Plus YouTube channel is what has the first 3 episodes for free. And then also, if you don't have Disney Plus, but you have Hulu, the whole first season is streaming again for a limited time there as well. The Tony Gilroy thing, I've watched it numerous times, and there's so many takeaways from that. Every time I watch it, I hear something different. And Tony talks about some of his favorite scenes, and when it really Andor season 2, a couple of my favorite scenes. I mean, there's it's those intense emotional moments, I think, that are my favorite scenes. And one of them was in an announcement at the party Again, Mon Mothma's scenes are just so intense and so great. And when she's first starting to just share her path with her friend from Chandrilla, trying to get some help with the funds, she in this party, and the way she's speaking to him and the way she's just kind of convincing him, and when she finds out that he might be along the same lines as her, and being against the empire, and and being someone who she can trust, knowing all these faces and the spies around her, and how she just plays that story so great without saying too much, but saying everything all at once, and in the same way making sure that he's kind of playing into that game. And just the way the script is written is just so perfect. I love it so much, and I could watch those scenes over and over with Genevieve O'Reilly. I think they're just amazing. um, I really see Mon Mothma's story as being one of my favorite side stories of Andor. I could have had a whole series of her, honestly. Um, she's such a great actress, and she's playing this role just so well that I can name off just almost most of, I would say the majority of the scenes in my top 10 would have to involve her in some way or another. And I have a feeling that her story arc, which I'm guaranteeing is definitely one of the arcs in season 2, 3 episodes of Mon Mothma, and how she basically decides to leave Coruscant, the reason why she had to leave, and how she escaped, and the beginning part of that episode in Rebels, that we see the rebels helping Mon Mothma. Um, the reason that we see her in the beginning of that episode, I think we're going to find out. So I love the ties to that. I think it's going to be amazing, and Genevieve O'Reilly just blows me away every single time. I think she's outstanding. And then we've gotten some new Andor this week, within the past couple days, and we got a new trailer. Season 2 trailer. If you haven't watched it, it's the final season 2 trailer, and it's a little bit. It's not as much as the first trailer. Slightly different, but it's still a great trailer. It's a good trailer. Couple little snippets added to it that blink and you miss it type extra things that give a little bit of hints to some of the storylines, the story arcs. So, but yeah, good second trailer. New art, as you can see. This is the new poster art with almost everybody that's in the series is on this poster here. Rebel and Imperial alike, all together, big cast, put together, with just everybody. Cassian Andor, Luthen Rail, Bix Kaleem, director Krennic, who we know is coming back, Mon Mothma, and then just so many more characters: K2SO, Saul Guerrera, Cyril Karn, Supervisor Deidre Amiro, Vel Sartha, all of them superimposed over the looming Death Star that we know is in the background that nobody really knows about until Rogue One, but that is still part of this big story. And also the shadow of the Rebel base as well, Yavin 4. So maybe we're going to get to see how Yavin 4 came to be as far as the base. And maybe we'll get to see some revisits of that base as well. On the ground, we got TIE fighters screaming through the skies, small groups of stormtroopers walking through the field of grain, which we've seen in the trailers, and then an ominous plume of smoke, which don't really know what that's from either. So I guess we'll find out. But season 2, again, April 22nd. We're getting close. We're getting close, guys. It's gonna be here sooner than later. I have my good friend Maz. Let's see if I can't get